What's good, boys? This is the ultimate penance guide for all penances for all classes. I've conveniently timestamped every single penance in the description for you so you can skip to the one that you need. But before you do skip ahead to the part that you need, if you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are very close to 1,000 subscribers. This is very exciting because I promised myself that if I hit this milestone, I would reinvest in the channel and buy myself a professional level microphone so that you guys can enjoy the gloriousness of my voice in all of its fine details. Anyways, with that said, let's jump into our first class, the Zealot Preacher. Okay, so for our first penance, we have Up Close and Personal, which is to complete a full mission on Malleus difficulty or higher. Does not require a team and does not require any specific loadout. You literally just need to not shoot a bullet and you're good. Buying time requires you to stun a sniper that's more than 40 meters away. You do not require any team or any specific loadout again for this one. However, it wouldn't hurt to mention that you're trying to do it to your team so that they don't kill the sniper before you get a chance to try this. To make this easier, you can ping the sniper and you'll get a reading on how exactly far away it is, which is super helpful. As for throwing the grenade, you want to aim kind of above the sniper's head, as this is beyond the grenade's max throw distance, so you need to kind of like explode it just above the air where the sniper is standing. Next is Abhor the Mutant. While dashing with Chastise the Wicked, kill a mutant with a melee attack. This one again doesn't require a team, but I would highly recommend taking a Thunderhammer. The trick to getting this one is that you want to charge with an empowered heavy attack from the Thunderhammer, one-shotting most mutants on Sedition and Uprising with relative ease. A further tip is that you want to release the attack just a moment sooner than your instincts are telling you to, as there seems to be some sort of odd collision with the charge that causes you to stop charging before you meet the target physically. I will try and demonstrate this in a meat grinder example here for you to kind of see what I'm going on about. Just a flesh wound is complete a full mission on heresy threat or higher in under 20 minutes with less than a wound's worth of health remaining for 75% of the time. Now this one does require a specific build and a pre-made team. As far as the build goes, I recommend not having any curios that have wounds on them. This means we'll only have 2 wounds on heresy and allows us to only have to go below 50% HP to meet the requirements. Other than that, you want to go as high damage as you have. I highly recommend the Dagger Bleed build with a bolt gun. Then when it comes to team composition, something very Zealot heavy is excellent for this one. For me, I used 3 Zealots and 1 Sharpshooter. Mission selection is quite important as well. Low intensity is a godsend when it comes to this one. Missions, I highly recommend Assassinations, Investigations, and Espionage. Specifically, Chasm Terminus Assassination and Hab Draco Investigation. They have very little downtime in terms of having to wait for an elevator or something like that. And of course, low intensity means you won't have to be dealing with as many enemies. Other than that, you're basically just trying to gun it through the mission as fast as possible. 20 minutes is quite realistic and is a lot easier than it used to be. There is nothing but the Abyss requires you on heresy threat or higher to heal to 75% health with life gained solely from the Holy Revenant feat. This is the level 20 feat. You do not need a team for this one, but there is a build that I recommend. And it's essentially just take a bolt gun and a Thunderhammer. These are the 2 weapons that I think you can reliably do this with in 2 different ways. With the Thunderhammer, you want to wait for a flamer to come up, stand in the fire, proc your passive, use Chastise the Wicked with an empowered charged heavy attack, and smack them in the noggin. This will almost certainly heal you to full. Secondly, and this is the method I find to be much more reliable, run into the biggest horde you can find, get knocked down to your passive procking, and then just unload an entire clip of bolt gun into the horde, and I guarantee you'll get this one in 1 try. Moving on to shocking stuff, this requires you a Malice threat or higher to kill 40 enemies stunned by your stun grenade within 10 seconds. This does not require a team, but I do recommend that you take a flamer in your build. Also, when it comes to map choice, something that's a bit more closed in and doesn't have as many open areas will be perfect, because the way you're going to try and do this is to take a horde on a choke point, throw a stun grenade in, switch to the flamer, and mow them all down. This one takes a couple of tries. It's no real way to guarantee it. However, if you go for a high intensity map, I think you're going to improve your chances pretty well. It shouldn't take more than a couple of games to get, really. The Sainted path is pretty straightforward. You just have to complete everything that we've spoken about previously, as well as completing every mission on Heresy and 100 missions flat on the class, which I've done for the Zealot. And here's a quick look at the entire set on my Zealot. Not bad. Not bad at all. Right, moving on to the next class. So next up we have the Veteran Sharpshooter, and we're going to begin with 1 in the chamber. This requires you to kill 5 enemies with the last round in your clip during a single mission on Malleus threat or higher. Does not require a team, but I highly recommend that you use the bolt gun for this one. Really, it's quite nice and simple. Just fire the last bullet of the bolt gun into a horde and you'll more or less get this one by accident all the time. Marked for Death requires you during a single use of Folly Fire to hit enemy weak spots 4 times using a weapon's secondary action without missing. This does not require a team or any specific setup, but does benefit from using certain things. That being las guns, as they come with an actual sight, it's much easier to hit things in the head with this. Folly Fire itself, you can do this without the level 30 talents. However, those allow you to extend the use of it. So if you're already level 30, this is going to be infinitely easier. All you have to do is shoot 4 enemies in the head. Long Bomb requires you to hit 5 enemies with a frag grenade without bouncing it. Now this doesn't require a team or any specific build. I find this one particularly easy to do on any Chasm Logger Stratum or Turret missions, as there is a lot of really long open areas there. A great way to get a feel for the distance you need to throw the grenade is to mark an elite enemy something around 40 meters and then aim slightly above it. Take a look at my telegraph here and you can see roughly what I'm doing in order to make sure it explodes above their heads. On Overwatch is our first difficult penance, and it requires you to complete a mission on Malice or higher without taking any melee damage. This one doesn't actually require a team. I did this in a public game, however it will help quite a lot, and it doesn't really require any specific build again, but I do recommend taking camo. As far as this goes, the only real recommendation I can make is take something with a high ammo capacity so that you're able to shoot reliably from range and keep things away from you, and try and target a low intensity mission where you can. Next we have Deadeye. On Heresy threat or higher, during a single use of Folly Fire, kill 5 highlighted enemies with weak spot hits while using a weapon's secondary action. This means ADS. Does not require a team, however I highly recommend you take the level 30 talent Counterfire. This will highlight all shooters, which will then count towards this penance, and will also allow you to extend the duration of Folly Fire every time you do kill one, so it's very easy to get it when using that talent. Okay, and now moving on to probably the most infamous penance for the Sharpshooter. This one requires you to complete a mission on Heresy threat or higher with no ammo remaining and 100% accuracy. Now this one doesn't necessarily require a team, but it does help. As far as the loadout goes, if you're going to do this one legitly, I highly recommend a low ammo capacity weapon like the bolt gun, revolver, or shotgun. The shotgun is probably my favorite choice for this one because it has a wide spread, so it's much harder to miss shots with it. Now currently this is a cheesable penance, meaning that there is kind of a cheap way to do it. The short version is that you empty your gun near the end of a game, close the game by then Alt F4ing, rejoin, shoot your last bullet into an enemy, and then finish the mission and you'll get the penance. Obviously this is not intended and is likely to be patched out soon. And one thing you need to be aware of when you're doing this penance is that obviously if you kill any elites yourself, you will get ammo back. That's a Veteran Sharpshooter aura. Also, if any of the allies in your coherency get a kill, then they will also give you ammo as well. So something that you can do is try and make sure that you're far away from your team at the end of the mission to reduce the amount of ammo that you get. However, this can be a bit of a risky strategy. And then on target requires you to do the listed penances here beforehand, in addition to 100 missions, as well as one of each type on Heresy. And let's have a quick looky-loo at the full set on my Sharpshooter. Coming up now, we have Ogryn, starting with the pennant, Something in Your Eye. The requirements are kill a corruptor by hitting it in the eye with your grenade box. No need for a team and no particular build required here. All you have to do is find a corruptor, the big eyeball demons that can be found on Relay Station, Smelter, and Silo Cluster, and some other missions I believe as well, and hit it with your grenade box. It's a one shot, one kill, easily done penance. Next is I'm in Charge, and this is a straightforward penance. When you see a Plague Ogryn drop his head and charge towards you or a teammate, just use your charge back at him and it'll interrupt him. Gone Bowling is the first of the hard penances and requires you to knock down 70 enemies with a single bull rush on Malice, threat, or higher. Now this one doesn't need a team but can be done with one as well, and as far as the build goes, I recommend using the shield and the level 30 feat Unstoppable. When trying to do this one by yourself, a Damnation mission with high intensity is your best bet. You want to get a map that has a large open area to begin with. This will allow you to pull enemies from very far away with a ranged weapon. Put your shield up near the beginning of the level and allow them to all funnel to you. It's best to try and do this in a closed space, so if you have like a tunnel or perhaps a corner you can force all the enemies to like sort of collect in front of you with. that's what you want to do. Doing with this team is much the same. However, you can actually have somebody run off down the map, collect all the enemies up, and then run them back for you to charge through. Or if you just happen to be dealing with a lot of enemies and a horde spawns, then that's also a very good opportunity to go for this one as well. Then Heavyweight Champion. This has to be possibly my least favorite penance having done. This was a horrible penance to learn how to do well. And I'm going to share with you a tip that made me able to do this in very few tries after hours of trying. So the requirement is on Heresy Threat or higher to knock down 6 enemy Ogryns, which is Bulwarks, Crushers, Plague Ogryns, and or Reapers with a single Bull Rush. Now this one does require one other person. It can be done alone, but is a lot harder, so I highly recommend finding another Ogryn who wants to do this. And as far as build goes, you absolutely must have a shield and you must have Unstoppable, the level 30 feat. And the way that you do this is you find yourself a Damnation with high intensity, or a Damnation will work just fine, just a little less reliable. You, as the person who's trying to get the penance, will drop down into the first zone of the map, whichever map it is. I highly recommend Chasm Locker Stratum. Any mission with a bridge at the beginning is excellent for this, or any torrent mission for that matter is quite good. You jump down to the first zone, you plonk your shield down, and you stay there. The other person will then death run. This means they are going to run as far as they can throughout the whole map, as far as they can get, pulling everything that they can. The reason that they do this is that when they die, everything they've pulled will turn around and run to you. Now the difficulty here is that if some specials spawn, you will have to try and kill those before they disable you, and you just get killed by everything else because the bots that you're with are just going to die instantly. However, after a couple of tries, the stars will align and you'll get that perfect Bull Rush with the 6 Ogryns. Don't Stop Me Now requires you to move 40 meters with Bull Rush in under 20 seconds on Heresy Threat or higher. This one does require a team and also does require a specific build. You want to make sure you're going the level 15 feet Bullfighter and the level 30 feet Unstoppable. As far as the team composition goes, as many Psykers as you can get will make this easier, as they offer a cooldown reduction on elite kill. And what you're going to want to do is a full length charge into a group of elites. I like to do a grenade first to make sure there's some damage already done before I get there. Kill them as fast as humanly possible to reduce the cooldown on your ultimate. Turn around and charge the way that you came. And then we have Friends Will Be Friends. Stay in coherency with a living teammate at all times during a full mission on Malice or higher. As far as this one goes, you don't necessarily need a team. However, having a friend who knows you're trying to do it stick with you is a huge help. As far as a build goes, I highly recommend taking the level 15 feet Towering Presence, as this increases the range of coherency by 50% for you. As far as mission recommendations go, any is fine. Low intensity helps a lot with this one. The less specials there are to sort of displace the team, the better. Just be mindful of where people are. If you want to do this one with another Ogryn, that's actually extremely helpful, as you guys are very easy to see. And yeah, I mean, it's just one of those ones where you might have to throw a couple of games into it, but take that talent and it's going to make your life infinitely easier. And then finally, we have Bonehead. Requires you to complete the listed penances, as well as complete 100 missions on the class, as well as one of each type on Heresy, which is currently something I'm still working through. And this is a look at the full set on the Ogryn Skullbreaker. Just a nice quick look there. And finally, this Psyker Pyskinetic. Now, the first one, not even close. Kill a pouncing Poxhound with Brain Burst. This is just a matter of timing. There's no specific way to do this. No need for a team. No need for a specific build. Just be actively brain bursting hounds, and you'll probably get this one by accident, to be honest. Warp Battery, while on Malice difficulty or higher, in a single session, maintain maximum warp charges for 300 seconds. No need for a team, no need for a specific build. This one's just about being aware of your warp charges and making sure to brain burst consistently throughout the map so that it doesn't fall off. You'll also want to avoid using your ultimate ability, as that purges your warp stacks off. And as far as mission recommendations go, high intensity and higher level difficulties are recommended, as there's a better density of enemies through even the more quieter areas of a map. Cliffhanger requires you to kill 7 enemies within 2 seconds by knocking them off the edge. Now you can just use your ultimate for this one, or just hit them off with a weapon push. However, this is extremely easy to do on the Torrent Espionage. Right at the end of the mission, where you have to defend the bridge near the console panel, loads of enemies will run at you there. Loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. It is extremely easy to push 7 off here. I did it first try, so I highly recommend this is where you go to do it. Again, mission difficulty doesn't really matter here. However, higher with high intensity just betters your odds. And the next one is going out with a bang, your team's favorite penance for you to be doing. While on Malice, threat or higher, you want to be trying to kill 3 elites with a single Perils of the Warp explosion. This is when you explode and die from allowing your peril to hit 100%. Now this one doesn't require a team, but it does definitely help if you have a Sharpshooter with bio optics, and doesn't require a specific build. However, having a staff will help a lot, and getting a lot of wounds from your Curios means you can be downed multiple times in a mission without needing a Medicae station. As for getting it, if you do have a Sharpshooter with bio optics, have them spam that as much as possible so you're always aware of where the elites and specials are on the map. Ready yourself by left clicking with your staff to get yourself up to 100% peril, and you're going to want to do some damage to them, not too much, but you're going to want to make sure that they've been hit by 1 or 2 shots so that they actually die to your explosion, because it doesn't do that much damage. As far as map recommendations go, high intensity is always a winner here. And you want to try and get maps that don't have too many open spaces, as it can be hard to clump the elites up in those maps. Alright guys, pick and mix. Not gonna lie, this one sucks a little. It requires you on Heresy Threat or higher to use Brain Burst to kill 5 different elites or specialists within 12 seconds. Now you don't need a specific team, however a Sharpshooter with bio optics does help a lot. Just like with going out with a bang, being able to know if there's elites in the next room is a very good piece of information to have going in. And as far as your actual build goes, I highly recommend having Kinetic Barrage, the level 30 talent. The general tips are you want to be actively brain bursting, because sometimes you can do these ones by accident, especially on the higher difficulty missions and high intensity missions. And just be aware that you want to be at low peril before you start trying to do this, and then when you get higher, use your ultimate to purge 50% peril and make use of Kinetic Barrage and the reduced cooldown of Brain Burst to get the last couple in within the 12-second window. As far as map recommendations go, large open spaces where you often have high ground and high intensity are highly recommended. And next, Malleus Monstronum, the best cosmetic in the game, by the way. Come at me, this is the best looking cosmetic in the game, free or otherwise. Anyways, requirements are, while on Heresy Threat or higher, kill a monstrosity after damaging 90% of its health with your Brain Burst. This absolutely requires a team, but does not require any specific build. As far as team composition goes, an Ogryn with a shield is a huge help, and my recommendations are try and do this on a demon host, because Ogryns are able to perma-tank those with the shield and take basically no damage. They also have pretty low HP, so you can get it really quickly. Plague Ogryns are the next best choice, and Beast at Nurgle I would almost recommend not trying to do, as they are just an absolute pain in the crack if they're up for too long. So for that reason, missions that I reckon would be good to get are ones with lights out, as they have a very high rate of demon host spawns. However, this can be done pretty much anywhere, and your team has to be on board, because if they do any damage to it, you're going to get screwed out of your penance. Kinetic Killer, like with all the other helmet cosmetics, requires you to do a set list of penances, as well as complete 1 of each mission type on Heresy and 100 missions on the class. And obviously with this one, I'm still only on the tier 2. I've been waiting for an investigation for like 2 days. And this is a look at the cosmetic set on my Psyker. Look at that. Honestly, I am not going to be buying a cosmetic for the Psyker for a long time. I can just tell that this is going to be super hard to beat, man. This is so good. I haven't talked about the other ones as much as I talk about this one. It is a good looking set. And that's it. I want to thank you for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, as always, please do consider subscribing. Also, check out the link to my Twitch in the description below. I do plan to start streaming real soon. I look forward to seeing you there. And yeah, I think that's about it.